What's up, everybody? Woo! I am so happy to be here as part of virtual Reactathon and kind of hang out with you and talk about all things React. I am so honored and privileged to be here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tejas. That's pronounced, unfortunately, like contagious. Maybe I should find a new ad. How about Tejas like advantage? Anyway, my name is Tejas, and I work at a company called G2I, stands for Good News to the Internet. And we, my goodness, we live and breathe React. Like, our entire business model is mostly we help people with talent in React find jobs with React, and then we help companies find people who know React. That's React everywhere. I lead engineering and do a lot of React as well. This talk, Deconstructing React, I learn best by taking things apart and then putting them back together. That's how I've done it as a kid. That's how I do it now, which nothing much has really changed since I was a kid. So that's where it came from. I was like, how do I understand React? So I started with the API of React and kind of just implemented against it and learned some things along the way. And this talk is really just to highlight those things I've learned, really motivated to help you understand kind of what React does under the hood, and help you build more progressive React apps. By that I mean apps that would swim with the current of React as opposed to against it. As a disclaimer, I need to say this isn't one-to-one indicative of how React is implemented, but it just aims to highlight the concept. So it's very hand-wavy, and if you really want to understand React, I'd recommend looking at the official source code and documentation from Facebook. But if you're into just kind of grasping some concepts around it, around its internals, then I'd encourage you to continue watching. There will be not many slides, but mostly code, so I hope you're ready. All right, you ready? Let's do it.
So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our terminal and really try to recreate React from scratch just to understand it. So we're going to go into our lab, and I'm going to make a folder called Deconstructing React. I'm just lazy. I don't want to type that much. And we will yarn init. And I'm just going to use TypeScript. Yes. What does that do? Whoa. Okay. That's weird. Do I have Causa? I don't. Okay. Well, we're just going to add TypeScript. I like TypeScript, and we're going to use parcel. That's it. 2 dependencies, just to help us, mess around. Now, I might skip this if this takes too long, but I don't think it should because yarn fast. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Okay, good. So now I want to index HTML and index TSX. I want to start TypeScript, and that's it. I just go open my editor here, and let's actually just start the dev server. Index.html. That's going to run in the background. Let's go full screen and anchors away. I want an HTML5 file. Script src is this one, and let's add a React root as well. Oh yeah, we are off to a fantastic start. This should be running. Excellent. Let's open that. Bam, we have our browser, and let's go split screen. Now we will spend most of our time split screening. Okay, so let's go to our TypeScript. Actually, I need to enable React here. And I want implicit endings. It's bad for production, but we're hacking, so it's fine. You know what? I'm just going to write it. So const app equals div class name. Class name. This is very typical React, right? And we'll do h1. What's up? And we'll do some lorms. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Looks good. And then we'll add another. It's fine. I want to over-engineer. And then we'll say render, right? This comes from React DOM. In fact, React DOM.render app into my root node. Document.query selector root. Okay. What could possibly go wrong? Well, we have a blank screen. Let's open up that console. React DOM is not defined. All right, let's define it. By the way, we're going to do everything in one file in this, just to avoid cognitive dissonance by jumping. Of course, modular is always better, but I don't like the jumps for this talk. All right, and we'll say render is a function that does something. You happy? React is not defined. How does it even know to look for React? Well, that's TypeScript. Whenever TypeScript sees this thing, and then you've set JSX to React, it's going to assume you have React. So, all right, React is defined. Let's define it. It's an object. Create element is not a function. Well, anything's possible. We can make it a function. Why not? Super! No errors. It works, but I don't see nothing on the screen. So let's talk. Today we're going to understand three things: the virtual DOM, a renderer, and state in React apps. Hooks, specifically the useState one. So what React does really is it takes your DOM, a representation of this tree structure in JSX, and turns it into something called the virtual DOM, which is just a bunch of JavaScript objects nested in the same way a DOM tree is, that can be operated upon a bit more efficiently. So that's what React is going to do here with create element. And then React DOM is a renderer. It takes that virtual DOM as input, as we can see here, and does something with it. In this case, puts it on your browser. But of course, there are other React renderers like React Native, which takes it and puts it on an iOS, Android, or other device. So let's look at the virtual DOM first. React.createElement. If we comment this out, we're going to be yelled at. It's not a function. It's a function now. But all functions, most functions have inputs and then outputs. So let's see what this thing expects as inputs. If we get the arguments and we console.log them, what do we have? We have two arguments. The first one is a function reference, and the second one is null. Cool. So const fn is arg0, and null, I guess we'll leave that, and let's call the function. Fn is not a function. But, okay, then what is fn? Console.log fn. So it's a function and an h1. It looks to me like wherever this occurs, it calls React.createElement with what's next to it. As we can see, it was called with h1, but in this case it was also called with app, where app is a function. So it can be either function or tag. Okay, I see. So we'll call this fn or tag. And if type of fn or tag, if it's a function, well then we will call it. Otherwise, we will, and it's got to return virtual DOM, right? That's what it's got to return, the virtual DOM. So if not, we'll just return tag is fn or tag, which in this case it's a tag. Okay, looks good so far. It's interesting because we're taking the output of React.createElement app and we're passing it to render as the first argument. So let's see if this works. We'll say React element, and then we'll console log it and see what we get. Okay, tag div, not bad. It's yelling at me because it has implicitly any type. Let's fix that by making it explicitly any. Again, we're in debug mode. I don't care about no types. I can add them later. So we have tag div. Amazing. Wonderful. Curious what the other args are at this point. Let's console.log args just to see if there's something we're missing. Oh my goodness. Okay, array 4, array 3, array, whoa. So args, so there's 4 arguments here. Div is the tag, and then class name main. So that's props of div, it looks like. So we have fn or tag. So we've got 4 things. We've got fn or tag for sure, and then we've got props, and then tag h1, tag p. Those both look like h1p, which look to me like children, and there's 4 of them. So I'm assuming everything after props is children. Spoiler alert, I'm not assuming, I know this, but just go with it. So this is what we have here. Amazing. We'll call fn or tag and we'll pass props in, and when we return, we'll return a tag, but we'll also return props. And we'll spread the existing props, but we'll also add the children to the props for simplicity. What? That's why. Okay. Good. Nice. So now I think we have our virtual. This is a virtual DOM right here. Done. 1 out of 3. This tree, React, has done its job. Beautiful. Now it's time to render it. So let's step into the renderer stage. So React virtual DOM is done. Let's check the render phase. So now there's two things. There's the React element. There's a DOM root. So what we've got to do is take this tree and map it to DOM elements. Let's do that. So let's const root L is document. Let's create an element. Since we have the tag, we can. Let's React element dot tag, and then let's get the props. Do const props equals React element dot props. I want the keys, and I want to filter them because I don't want children here. So I'll just get everything except children. And of course, I also want children separately. So props.children. All right, nice. So let's do stuff with these. Firstly, if we have, let's also coalesce this and this too, so that we don't run into undefined. Okay, so now for each of the props, prop keys, for each, I want to map them onto my root L. So root L key is props at that key. Okay. Does this coalesce to nothing? It doesn't, so we'll do that. And then if we have children, we'll do the same thing. For each child, we will render, I don't know why that, render the child into the DOM root, but it's not the root, it's the root element here. Okay, nice. And of course it's React DOM.render, my bad. Okay. And then lastly, we want to append the child root L. So we want to append the thing we create in memory to the DOM root. I think that should do it, except we haven't handled some cases. For example, this isn't always a React element. Like here, it is sometimes just a string. So we could literally just pass in this. And so let's, account for that case. Type of React element equal string. It can be because we're rendering child, right? And child, as you can see here, is just a string. It's not a React element. Or it's a number. We can treat numbers as strings too because they're going on the DOM. What we want to do is we'll just append it straight away. Append child document dot append chid document dot create text node. Coerce it to a string if it's a number. React element. Excellent. And then finally, they can be null sometimes. Children can be null. So if it doesn't exist, we'll just not do anything. Good. I think we have everything. Let's finish up early here too. Okay. There we go. We've built a renderer. And look, I mean, even the props and everything. Class main. Like if I do a dot main and then do like a font size 100 pixels, bam! Look at that. Incredible. So we've built React, we've built a renderer. Really the last thing, what really makes React at the end of the day is updatability. And as I said in the beginning, we're not going to talk about the reconciler, but we want to make it interactive. How do we do that? Well, let's add some interactivity layers here. So I'll just make a div, and in it I'll have a label with name, not class name, just name, input type text. And we'll do one as well with age. We'll say number. And if React does its job, as soon as I save this, it should just automatically render. Perfect. Excellent. And you can see the props type, name, and number have been set. Amazing. Now if we want to add some state, well, we would use a very familiar thing called the use state hook. So let's do name, set name, use state. Tejas. Let's use my Twitter name. How about that? Tejas Kumar. Very and it's react.useState, excuse me. It's exported from React. Okay, well, we have react.useState is not a function. I'm aware, thank you. So let's make it a function, and let's write like a basic, poor man's implementation. So we've got initial state that we call it with. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to let state equals initial state, and then const set state. It takes the new state, and it says state is now new state, and then it returns state and set state as const. Okay. So it's happy again, amazing. Let's replace, actually let's not replace, let's just add what's up, comma, name. And okay, what's up, Tejas, Kumar? Great, it works. Let's control the input with it. Name, and then on change, this is literally the React you know and love, nothing special. Okay. So is it working? Well, no. Oh no! Whatever shall we do? Well, let's maybe make it alert and see if it's being called at all. How about that? Is it being called? You got a save dialog. Okay, it isn't. And that's because this capital C is really a React thing. On the web, using the platform, it's all lowercase. So on change, and now, if we change it, sup, we have an alert. Amazing. Okay, so I like it, it's working. Let's maybe set name in this case and see what happens. Jeez. Nothing happens. Well, we have to re-render. And this is something the reconciler does. We're going to write a really poor man's implementation of this. Poor person's implementation of this. It's important to support non-binary gender identities. All right, so let's try to basic, re-render. So this is render. Let's say, let's actually just do render. Cool. So that renders, and then we'll call render here. Again, this is really basic. There's more to this. And then at the end of set state, we'll render. But again, this is not going to do anything because, okay, well, it's going to do that. It's going to append children because we're calling append child. But what we want to do is before we do that at all, let's empty the parent. So we'll say const parent is this, and we'll remove any first children if there are. Okay, let's do that. Is that better? Okay, so far so good. I mean, it's not updating the state, but we have something. The component itself, app, needs to be recalled. That's what happens when this is the return value of render, so app needs to be called as well. So when we come here to React, actually, create element, the return value of this, but we'll add a little flag onto it called render. And when we call render, it just calls React, it just calls the same thing. It just calls it props children. Just like that. Just like that. Actually, sorry, that's not what I meant. I bet. It just silly me. So it does that. Then we've added render. And so now when we render from our renderer, we'll do that too. We'll call render if it has it. So we'll go here and we'll say React element dot render. If it has it, call it. Cool. Maybe we should do it with its props just to be extra safe. Okay, good. So now it's re-rendering, I think. I don't really know. But let's see what happens here. So console.log state was state is new state. See what happens. Tejas Kumar, ASD, okay, BCE. But state was what? No, it wasn't. Why is it getting reset all the time? And that's because we keep calling this in the beginning. In fact, if I console log up here, use state called with, and we'll pass the initial state here, we can get some idea of what's happening. useState call it Tejas Kumar twice. Ignore it. We're in dev mode anyway. Cheese man. So it was set to cheese man, but really quickly reset because this component was called, which called this with the initial state, and then it was reset. This is where we need to use something called closure. Let's make the state live outside, so that when it's called, it has a reference point. So we'll say let state empty now, and then we'll say state is equal to what it is already, if anything, or the initial state. Let's try that. Dan Abramov. Hey, it worked! Soon, this is gonna get me in trouble, maybe. Cool, so it worked. Great, awesome, good. Let's get in on that age action as well. So let's do age, set age, and I'm 27, so let's do that. And we will, just copy this logic here. Set age, and we'll say age. Okay, and then maybe let's add it here. You are age years old, my homie. Okay, so that's weird. What's going on? What if I do 25? Hello, 25. You are 25. I think it's because we have just the one. So maybe we can do let's state 2 equals, let's state 3 equals. Seems a bit hacky. And in fact it is. So if we have a list of possible states, a nice data structure could be an array. We need also some type of cursor to say which state value I'm currently looking at. So let's also do a cursor. Let's call it state cursor. Index 0, meaning start with the beginning. And let's rework this a little bit. So we'll say const local state, just to avoid some ambiguity, is equal to, okay, whatever, but let's capture that cursor. So local cursor is state cursor. So now if we manipulate state cursor, and we should as we walk through the list of states, local cursor stays constant. So local state in this point is state at the index of local cursor. Very important. Or initial state. Okay. When we have new state, what we'll do is we'll say state at the local cursor, reassign it. Reassign it to the new state. That's it. It thinks it's an array of never. That's why this error, but let's just make it an array of any and be done with it. And re-render. And once we respond to useState here, we need to move on to the next call of useState. So we need to make that cursor go down. So at the end of useState, but just before we return, we'll say state cursor plus plus. And then when we re-render our tree, we will reset that state cursor to go back to the beginning. So right about here, we'll say state cursor equals 0. Okay. So now, but also our return waits. So we're returning state. That's not good. We need to return local state. Awesome. There we go. What's up, Tejas Kumar? You're 27 years old. Let's do this. What's up? Give me a name. Ken Wheeler. There we go. This isn't touched so much, and he's, I don't know how old is he, like 99. Okay, check it out. It works. It totally. So we have these like independent states that are able to be managed by closure, and as you can see, the global state object is this, and we iterate through these cursors each time useState is called and update state at the right index. This under the hood is how useState roughly works. And again, implementations may change over time, but generally that's the gist of the concept.
And that's it. So again, we looked at a virtual DOM, a renderer, and the state hook. Amazing. I feel like I even understand React more, even though I've known this for a while, and I hope that's the same that happened to you. For takeaways, I just want to encourage you, let's embrace learning by doing, by building from scratch, by rebuilding, by taking apart. I hope this helps, and I hope you're able to just go forth and build incredible apps. My love to all of you, and especially those affected by the pandemic, and I hope things get better. Now, to end, will you join me in singing my favorite Christmas carol, Silent I'm just kidding. I'm going to sing a song. But hey, thank you for watching this talk. I love you. Stay safe. Goodbye.